episode 3 of Obi-Wan?
I definitely... I mean, there's always lackluster right now for Obi-Wan just because he's not throwing his lightsaber around and being the General Kenobi that we know. But it's nice to see that he's actually stepping up and not being... he's like always mourning, I guess, the loss of Anakin. And now that he knows he's truly back, it's like... I don't foresee him like whipping out his lightsaber anytime soon. He'll probably do it at the last episode just as like a reel-in for people for a second season or something. But and I like what they're doing with Leia. I don't know if they should keep involving her, just because, I don't know, like, I feel like that just almost weakens her storyline in the originals. Just kind of makes her more unknowing, or like more of a whimsical adventurer rather than a calculated princess like general. I like that they killed off the Grand Inquisitor. I don't know, he was lackluster too, but I like what they're doing with the third sister. Is that her name?
Reva.
Yeah, Reva. I like what they're doing with her, making her like almost a proper Sith apprentice, but as an Inquisitor, because they're not technically Sith. And how Darth Vader's treated them like his apprentices and like kill squad.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, I don't think got much else for it, I think.
Yeah, so the Grand Inquisitor, for all intents and purposes for the show, is probably dead, but he's not actually dead because he shows up in Star Wars Rebels.
That's true.
Later on in the timeline.
Right.
So that is interesting that they decided to make him appear like he was dead, but they didn't exactly, like when she was updating Vader on like what was happening, she never said that he died or that he was killed. She blamed it on Obi-Wan, probably just to make Vader more angry or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting that like he's dead, but he's not, and there's a chance we could still see him come back in this show, like in the end or something, or like the infighting between the Inquisitors is it's really interesting. It's probably the most interesting part about, other than Obi-Wan, just because that could potentially explode into something big, and imagine seeing them fight Vader. Like, Vader's going to put them in their place eventually.
Absolutely. Like they did in Jedi Fallen Order. I like how a lot of it almost relates back to it. I mean, every Star Wars show always has the big execute Order 66 scene, like in the first episode, and like it made you think like, oh, maybe Cal Kestis will jump out of here. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that.
Yeah, and I really think they might show him if they're really going to keep up with the Jedi Fallen Order stuff. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, with that scene with the what's it called? It was like a safe house where that Imperial took Obi-Wan. Here, I'll show it. Somewhere around here. He's like, he notices that like many Jedi have like come through this safe house.
Oh yeah,
like the Jedi underground system. Yeah, Quinlan Voss.
That was pretty cool
interesting.
Yeah.
That was such a cool callback.
Yeah.
And even though like Obi-Wan and Quinlan didn't really get along, like in the Clone Wars episodes, they kind of butted heads a lot, because Quinlan was kind of like an exaggerated version of Anakin, basically.
Yeah, he's more reckless.
Very reckless, but he always got the job done. But you could see Obi-Wan smile when he found out that at least at some point he came through that and was alive at some point.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool.
Well, I think
touch.
she said that he is still helping.
I don't remember.
Really?
I think so.
That would be.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
So
that he helped a lot of others is what she said. I think.
Some people think that is going to play into the next Fallen Order game in some way.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Considering he has like matching powers of Anakin, right? His force powers, like he can touch things and like feel them or something. Is that right? Or
He has some weird power like that. I don't really remember what it was, but
I remember
has
it's
something
Cal, Anakin, and I think Quinlan Voss all have the same force power where they can put their hand on an object and see all that the object's been through or something like that. Like, because when you go through the game, like you put your hand on a stormtrooper's helmet and like you hear screaming or something like that, or whatever's going on. I think Quinlan Voss has the same power. I think that's what I read earlier today.
Yeah, he's got something unique about him.
And he can see the future, I think, right?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been too long since I've seen those episodes.
I mean, Anakin definitely can. So.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well, not the good future.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to go back to the beginning a little bit, where Obi-Wan's still on the ship with Leia, he just to go back to where he's kind of like he already did his like where he tried to talk to Qui-Gon again, and it didn't work, but he basically, at least they imply that they saw through the Force of like Anakin getting the armor like put on him.
Yep.
I don't know if we can see that, but I thought that was really interesting. And and then
What about Hayden Christensen's performance as Darth Vader?
Yeah.
That was incredible. He did a great job.
yeah, even though he's in a suit, like he got Vader's like mannerisms down.
Yeah.
And
Mannerisms down.
yeah, there were like some like shots where you could tell he knew Obi-Wan was there, and he'd like do like a quick
Yeah, that was kind of scary.
quick cut, like
you could like, even though he had a mask on, you could see like there's the twitch that he was like, that's something familiar, whatever, and then just snap that kid's neck.
Yeah,
that was wild,
crazy.
Yeah, that whole scene, it was in and of its own like dark hallway scene, like in the originals, like just grabbing people, dragging them along the floor, and just like looking around,
so
like,
funny.
What's Obi-Wan gonna do? I'm like strangling these people. I'm just like, hello.
Yeah, I was kind of
Wild.
surprised that he didn't say something for like how long it took Obi-Wan to actually do something.
Yeah.
Because he took a long time to like do something, and his thing that he did was just run away, but it worked. But I was surprised Vader didn't be like, did you really just take this long to like try to save these people? Like, what is wrong with you?
I think he's so nose deep in what Yoda asked him to do with the twins, that he's just, not even a Jedi anymore, hardly. He's just strictly keeping the kids a secret and keeping them safe.
Yeah, and he spent 10 years not using the Force like at all.
Yeah.
So that's why he seems so weak and everything. But I'm just kind of surprised that Vader didn't like call him out for like not doing something like immediately as he started killing people.
Like mocking him, you mean?
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't do that, but
that would be cool.
Everything after that was perfect in my opinion. The way that he kind of talked to Obi-Wan.
I almost think they're trying to keep Vader's dialogue to an absolute minimum.
Yeah, which is safe and smart.
Yeah, just because if he says something, like, he'll be like, oh, it's Hayden Christensen being annoying little Anakin again. But yeah, I like the way that he's a sinister dude. He's calculated. He's emotional, but he knows what he's doing.
Right.
He is Lord Vader.
Yeah.
At his prime.
Yeah. So we finally got to see Obi-Wan ignite his lightsaber, but it was like he was still
not what you want it to be.
Yeah, he was terrified.
Yeah.
Because he spent the last 10 years thinking Anakin was dead, and then he learns that he's alive, and then he sees what he's become, and he's like just trying to run away, and it's like.
It's almost like a traumatic response is what he's doing. Everything I've been thinking about for years and years has been a lie, and now he's alive, and my worst fears have come true. And he's almost like coming to that realization, like in this exact frame. He's just like, oh man, what is going on? Like he even says it. He's like, what have you become? Like, wow.
I think my favorite thing based on this topic was when he first saw the Inquisitors coming down that corridor. It almost seemed like he got cold and was not in the right headspace.
Oh yeah. I mean, he hasn't been in the right headspace this whole time, but
I think he's strictly trying to lower himself because he doesn't. I don't think he cares more about himself. He, like I said earlier, he's just trying to keep the kids safe and keep them secret, because I feel like Lord Vader would figure it out, like, why are you here? Oh, you're doing something sneaky.
Yeah.
And, try to figure out and probably just blow up the planet, because it would just hurt Obi-Wan the most.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's crazy. Like, Obi-Wan it was living with his failure for so long, and he just thought that Anakin was dead, and then he now that he knows that he's alive, it's like a living embodiment of his failure.
Yeah, that's
trying
terrifying.
to destroy him, literally destroy him, and it's so crazy.
Yeah, the way he portrays fear and loss and just almost post-traumatic stress, just you can see it on his face. Like I know he's aged 20 years since Revenge of the, is that right? Maybe 10 years?
It's been 10 years since Revenge of the Sith, yeah.
I mean, you can see it on his face that he's aged, and I mean, I don't know who the makeup artist is, but you can definitely tell he's just sunken, completely, because he's just distraught all the time. When he's in the first few episodes, or the first couple episodes, where he's working at that meat plant or whatever, you think oh yeah, Obi-Wan's gonna do something, but no, he's just slicing off meat for himself and trying to survive, and he's literally not the same Obi-Wan. And yeah, it's depressing that we're not oh yeah, it's General Kenobi, where's the sass, where's the one-liners, but you can really tell wow, he has gone through traumatic stuff, and it makes Revenge of the Sith all that much more great. Last lava scene of being wow, this is really, really emotional and really good.
Yeah, it always was, but that recap before the first episode, where they kind of pick and chose which scenes they thought were most important to kind of catch you up. The Revenge of the Sith scenes were just so emotional, just from that recap.
It was tough.
And the music in the background just really hits you.
Yeah.
And then it opens up with the first episode, and that was crazy.
If you're emotional to Star Wars like us, it would make any grown man tear up. It almost made me tear up, but I was no, my little sister is sitting next to me. I can't cry right now.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that grew up with the originals, I feel like they would, even if they didn't like the prequels or whatever, seeing Anakin turn into Darth Vader and that whole end scene is still very emotional, even if you aren't as invested as people who are diehard fans of the prequels or the Clone Wars or whatever. It's still a lot.
Yeah, it makes you understand the heartbreak, not just for Anakin, seeing him get plucked up by Qui-Gon and them revering him as this chosen one, and then him I guess he did bring balance to the Force, but not in the way that they wanted. And seeing Obi-Wan, like, pretty much misread the prophecy of saying you're supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them, and that wasn't the prophecy. The prophecy was he was to bring balance to the Force, and when Darth Sidious and Lord Vader teamed up, I mean, almost instantly the twins were born, and just that created the balance. He created balance not only by becoming a Sith, and but he also brought balance by having children that were eventually going to be light-sided. So
yeah, and it kind of goes back to what Yoda said, where it's like maybe they misread the prophecy.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
they didn't ever rule that out. It's just kind of something that they always had to like go by and keep their eye on.
I always forget what Yoda talks about. He's hard to
Yeah, but I mean, we could go into a whole episode about talking about how the Jedi were, you know, blind to a lot of things.
Yeah, and that's what makes Darth Sidious all that much more of a great bad guy, because he knew what he was doing from the get-go, like from the jump. Like when he killed Plagueis, like this, like he knew it. He knew everything about the Jedi. He planted himself in the exact right spot, and that just makes him all the more a great bad guy.
Yeah. Very true. All right, let's talk about that one scene.
Oh man, that was wild.
Yeah, I was not expecting this at all.
Neither was I.
Once I saw Vader show up and they kind of had their lightsabers out, I was just expecting it to be like a little spat, and then Obi-Wan escapes.
Yeah. I thought so too.
This was,
I hate to say it, but it was satisfying to be like, this is what Lord Vader want. I shouldn't say satisfying, but well, I guess
I get what you mean.
From a screenwriter's perspective, it's like, or I guess a storyteller's perspective,
it's poetic.
Yeah, very poetic. Like, he is literally doing the exact same thing that he did to him.
Yeah.
And, well, to a much more extreme. I guess Obi-Wan didn't want him to fall in the lava or whatever, but...
Right.
Yeah, it was very poetic, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It made me speechless. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And his screams were like almost identical to Anakin's screams.
I noticed that too.
I almost wonder if they like actually layered that on top,
it's
or
very possible,
like made him like watch it and try to do the exact screams or something. Because it reminded me a lot of his screams were right on.
It was almost identical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nuts.
I love the little droids in the back that are like, what's going on?
Yeah, I love the loader droid that like eventually comes and like picks him up and stuff.
Yeah,
it just like doesn't.
Darth
say
Vader's
word.
like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
That was a little weird, but I do think, kind of like in when Vader lets like Han Solo go in Empire.
Mm.
I think this is another situation. Some people might be like, why didn't Vader just pick him up again and like
smash him?
Like, he could have easily killed that droid or whatever, but he's obviously letting him go for a reason.
Yeah.
He probably wants to know why he was there in the first place,
Yeah.
with Leia and everything.
You'd think with Darth Vader, he would just... I mean, his whole thing is hunting down Obi-Wan, or like trying to get revenge because of his pain, because he thinks, he or Obi-Wan killed Padme. Or no, Sidious told him that he killed him in his anger.
Yeah.
But still, like, you turned her against me, blah, blah, blah. So you would think with his character, he would want to do, like you said, like murder him, like on the spot. But yeah, I think he played the dumb way to, if he really wanted to get back Anakin. But I guess he's a Lord Vader now. He has to do what the Empire wants. He has to figure out where all the Jedi are and why he was there and all that stuff. But,
I mean,
he's also much more older and
that's true.
Possibly wiser at this stage.
Yeah, wiser as like a a leader of the Empire and everything, but yeah, I mean, he could have just easily killed Obi-Wan too, but he instead tries to torture him and make him feel like he felt. And I don't know, I think it's a lot of it just showing the combination of Anakin and Vader kind of like fighting with each other. Like Anakin, even if he's like, if he was still good, he still has those like childish tendencies, you know.
Yeah. And
I feel like dragging Obi-Wan through a fire is a little on the childish side, and a more calculated decision would have been just to kill him and get it over with, or take him back and question him or whatever. But
it's just not
it's
satisfying.
It's just like he's kind of like fighting with himself still. Like
I feel like that's what Sidious kind of made him into, is just this big giant brute with like childlike anger and just unleashes it, and that's why he's in power. Just not only just because, you know, it helped Sidious in the long run, but yeah, he's just a big giant brute that's in control of what he's doing,
an enforcer of the Empire. And now he's got like all of his little minions doing similar things. It was interesting that in the first episode we see the Inquisitors like go to Tatooine, and they're like threatening the town, and they do eventually hang that Jedi, but
they didn't hang him. They just like
they hung him up.
Yeah. I noticed that. I was like,
the PG-13
no,
version.
There's no way they're gonna have a hanging person here. And I was like, that's right.
But you know, it was obviously they killed him before they did that. That was like the most brutal thing we saw. But we did see like, what's his name, the fifth brother?
Yeah.
The weird Asian guy.
Yeah.
What's his name? Son. I forget the actor's name. But the fifth brother, he is always trying to like rein in Reva, from doing like overly like violent acts, because it just didn't really help them in the moment. But then in this episode you see Vader like touch down, and he just immediately goes into violent acts like as soon as he sees civilians. Yeah. And you could like see like the look on Reva's face where she's like, well, he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how the Grand Inquisitor kind of came to power, because you could see like the power struggle. And what was it, the third brother? Is that his name? The Asian guy?
Fifth brother.
Fifth brother. The fifth brother was just kind of his lackey to be like, oh, I'm doing, you know, what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing what they're telling me to do. But Vader wants the job done no matter what. Yeah. I don't care if you killed the Grand Inquisitor. He said it. He's just like, that doesn't matter to me. I want to kill Obi-Wan. Find Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And he almost like, he rewards her for like for being alive, and gives her this throne of power essentially, just because the last guy died. He's like, I don't care about
I mean that's the Sith way, right? Like to if you're always like striving to overthrow your master, and that kind of always builds strength in a sense. You know, if you're stronger than your master, then you should just take him out. If you're stronger, then find someone else to train, and the cycle continues with the rule of two. So that's kind of what the Inquisitors are also somewhat doing. Even if they might not supposed to be killing each other, it's just going to end up making them stronger in Vader's eyes and the Emperor's eyes. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I don't even know if we're going to see it play out in the show to the full extent. I think it might end up, you know, either showing up in Fallen Order, like Fallen Order sequel, or maybe we're gonna get another show.
Possibly fall into a book.
Well, that's a more depressing thought.
Yeah, but
or just lead into the comic books or something like that. The Darth Vader comic books.
Yeah. So my thoughts. You mentioned like there might be like a season 2 or something like that.
I don't. If they don't, I'd be very surprised.
I think they already said there's not going to be, but that doesn't mean that they're not gonna continue the story. That's
true.
So I was thinking, what if they just made a Darth Vader show? Vader and the Inquisitors.
That'd be interesting, but I think that would lessen his character, just having like, oh, Vader's on screen all the time. Like, I feel like his main thing is like he's like a cupcake. If you have cupcake for every meal, you're not gonna like it anymore. It's not as intriguing. If you have a cupcake, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't brings his character more.
I don't think it would be like, oh, it's Darth Vader's adventure of the week. I think it would be more like this show where it's like a limited series. There's a story to tell, but it's mostly focused on Vader. Maybe focused on the Inquisitors too, or something like that.
Or the people on his his lava planet Mon Mothma. Is that right? No, that's not it.
Mustafar.
No, that's
Mustafar.
a character on the Rebellion. Yeah, Mustafar.
No, Mustafar. Like almost the people that are like worship him or whatever. Like you saw in the sequels when Kylo Ren was cutting them down to try to get the Sith thing. You remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like his Darth Vader's worshippers. That'd be cool if it was about that, and like Darth Vader was still like in the background somewhat. But I feel like that'd be more like a comic book lore kind of thing.
Yeah, I think if they're ever going to do a show like for anything related to that, it would focus mostly on Vader. But like I said, I don't think if they ever do that, it would be like a 20 episode, 5-season series, and like it's just like too much Vader, which
could be just like a 3-episode thing.
Yeah, like it would be like this show, like a 6-episode limited series, maybe like 1 or 2 seasons, because Vader's story has a lot more, especially in this era. There's so much that they could tell. I mean, the Vader comics have a lot.
Vader comics are great.
Yeah, and there's a lot that happens in those, and I feel like they could just do something similar to that. Like, it's not, those comics aren't like the Adventure of the Week either. They're mostly connected, at least for each issue or whatever. But
and what they do good about that too is what I said earlier. They keep his dialogue to a minimum, absolute minimum. He's just Darth Vader walking around, killing, slashing people, and I love that. Like what was the one, the Temple of the Snake People or something like that. That was a wild comic.
Yeah, I mean, all of them are so good. I haven't finished all of them, but I've read like a few.
They're good.
But the guy that writes those is now part of the overall, I think he's like executive, like narrative director or something like that.
I think
Charles Soule.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
That could be an indication of something. I mean, I don't.
That'd be cool if they tied in the comics with what's going on and kind of had like a Vader side quest almost to keep him distracted, or I don't know. Like Sidious is like, this is more important. Don't deal with that. Go do what I say.
Those comics are, at least the ones from 2015 and beyond, are all canon. So they all happened. So it's just a matter of if we.
But is it Disney canon?
Yeah, it's canon.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of like if we see like adaptations of some of those stories, or if they just like build off of them.
That would be cool.
But yeah, I think
I'm sure Hayden Christensen would love that.
Oh yeah, I think if they did it,
I think the fans would love that.
Yeah, I think if they did it well enough, like with this show so far, they've kept Vader's dialogue to a minimum. They've treated him like pretty much perfectly, in my opinion, for the most part. So I feel like if they just continued with that, seems like they kind of know how to treat Vader. I mean, they did the same, kind of mostly the same in Rogue One with Vader.
I think
his little like his joke with Krennic, where he's like, "I hope you don't choke on your aspirations, director." Like that was
choke on your aspirations.
That was a little
on the nose.
A little on the nose, yeah. But overall, they did really well with Vader in that.
In Rogue One, his helmet was a little wonky, but that hallway scene, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Legendary. Made it way better.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
For sure. Yeah.
I still think about it.
We'll probably get more of stuff like that in the coming episodes too.
I hope so.
I'm sure. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying, like, so far we've kind of seen Obi-Wan just kind of deal with, like, his whole, like, worldview being shattered with these last 3 episodes. And this is kind of like the lowest point. Like, this, what's on screen right now is his lowest point, where he's in the fire.
Yeah.
And so I think the next, like, we're halfway done, so the next episode is kind of going to be the first of him kind of, like, coming back to the realization that he needs to, like, get his butt in gear, and like, he's like the only hope right now for Leia and Luke, and, like, probably potentially in his mind Anakin. He probably, I think, hopefully thinks he can save or do something about Anakin.
Maybe I think he'll attempt it, because I'm not sure if it was the first episode or one of these episodes, like, you get to hear Padme say they're still good in him, and so maybe that'll recap to that, and then, like, go back to, I think he'll try it and then he'll fail, obviously, and then they'll meet again in the originals, and, like, you could just see he's just completely given up on him. And because there's that line where he in Return of the Jedi, when he's talking to Luke, and he's like, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. And before this show we hadn't seen that, so obviously Obi-Wan at some point has to think that there's still good in Anakin, because by the originals that's not the case, because he clearly tells Luke to kill Vader. So, and then later he's like, no, I didn't. But did you, I think it was maybe you, Bradford, that that showed us the redone version of Obi-Wan talking to Luke about recalling who his father was. He was like, he's the best starfighter.
Oh,
and, like,
it's like a montage.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And that was amazing. I hope in the future maybe they, like, layer that on top of the original. I'm sure they won't, but wow.
I mean, you never know.
That got to me.
Yeah, that was so good.
It added so much more to his acting. I mean, what's his name? Alec Guinness. I mean, say what you want, because he didn't like Star Wars or whatever, but
still
he nailed
an amazing actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even without the context of, because at that point
he's old and given up.
Anakin wasn't even Vader. Like, at that point when they made that movie.
Right. Yeah.
And especially when they were telling Alec Guinness what the backstory was, like, in his mind, Anakin was just his old Jedi friend that died. So his performance still lined up perfectly with what ended up being true. Yeah,
you can see him, like, thinking about it, and then he snaps back and he's like, all right. Anyway.
So good.
Like, so good.
Yeah. And I think Ewan McGregor nails some of those Alec Guinness mannerisms really well. Yes. Even in the prequels he did, but he's still kind of...
Has he said hello there yet? I don't remember.
In this show?
Yeah.
No.
I don't think so. He almost said it. He said hello to the guy that was carrying, like, that truck through the middle of the field. He was just like, say hello, Father. Hello. And I was like, almost one word away.
Yeah. I'm, like, on the fence about that kind of stuff, because, like, like, memes are funny and all, but, like, you shouldn't make, like, a show or, like, lines, like, especially in a, like, very serious show like this, like,
but
really
it would have been
too much to it.
Like, it was still like, him saying hello was still a giggle, but if they added hello there, I think it would have made people a little satisfied, and it was still a giggle.
True. If he didn't say it, like, exactly the same, if he just said, like, hello there, like, still in the same way, I think that probably would have been fine. But
I think that would have been
I can't stand when people are, like, so disappointed anytime Ewan McGregor speaks and he doesn't say that. It's like, I feel bad for the guy.
It burns out the actor. Like, I mean, Hayden Christensen, for goodness sake, like, I'm sure, like, the embarrassing lines he's had to say to people, like, I hate sand, like, over and over and over again.
So luckily, like at Celebration last week, I don't know if you saw. You probably didn't see any of the panels or anything. I know you've been busy, but they were so happy to be there and like talk with fans because back in the prequel days, like it wasn't really a good situation for them because like anyone that went to those things were older and they didn't like the prequels. So now that people that grew up with it like us like are going to those things, like they actually get to see people that really really liked those movies and really like them as actors and characters and everything. But they like fully capitalize on some of those things. Like when they both came out on their panel, Ewan McGregor said hello there.
Oh no.
Towards the end, Hayden Christensen, they were like, the interviewer's like, do you have anything to say about like how you're feeling about like the show? Like, do you have any final words? And then he just leans in. He's like, this is where the fun begins.
No.
Everyone went wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're loving it now, which is so good because they got so much hate for so long.
Oh yeah, and I mean, growing up, seeing it, you're like, yeah, it's maybe he's just a bad actor or just his lines were bad. But then you look back on it and you're like, actually, he's supposed to be the awkward weirdo.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Like, I mean, if he wasn't, if he was like confident like Obi-Wan was, it just wouldn't have made sense for his archetype. Like, he's supposed to be weird and like codependent with Padme because he's not supposed to have attachments, but he's obsessed with her, and
he got plucked away from his mom in the stage of life where he really was attached to his mom.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of projected that onto Padme.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah.
Which is a weird thing to do to your wife. Don't make your wife your mom.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But it does happen a lot, especially in those situations where kids just don't grow up with a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they're kind of getting the love that they deserve now.
Absolutely. I almost hope that they somehow put Jar Jar in here just so that the actor that portrayed him can like get some validation, because he got some heat for being Jar Jar. Like, if you read some of the things that he said, he was like, I was suicidal.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was suicidal, and he just got like constant hate mail all the time.
That's wild. To hate a character so much, like, it was a goofy character, sure, they didn't need him, but like, to write a letter to the actor who portrayed him instead of maybe the writers or something, but like, that's wild. That's subhuman to do that, quite honestly.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, luckily he's doing a lot better now. He is, because like I said, he's in the same situation where people are sending him the love that, he deserves, and it hopefully, outweighs the bad from the past. But he's also in the kids show, what is it called? Jedi Challenge, Epic Challenge or something like that on Disney Plus. It's for kids, but he's like, it's like canon adjacent, where they kind of like it's like a kids version of American Ninja Warrior, where they like go through like these like obstacle courses, but they're like Jedi trainees, like younglings. So they're like training to be Jedi and stuff.
That's cool.
It's cool for like kids and stuff, but he's like the Jedi master in charge of it, and he like has them like do all the challenges, and he hosts it, and he does really well. I saw a couple clips of it.
That's good.
So he's back in the fold, and get the love that he deserves. So
I really hope they put him in. That would be great.
That would be so funny. Even if it's not Jar Jar, like maybe like a side character or something, like give him a role that, even if he isn't getting as much hate now,
they made him Quinlan Voss. That'd be wild.
No,
it's like, whoa,
that would be weird.
That would be weird, but it'd also be like, good for him.
If it was just, I would be content with it. If it was just like a side character, like the Imperial on the screen right now that helped Obi-Wan. Like, it could be someone like that, like someone that just helps him
for sure, and like just say something like I appreciate you or something like that. You're appreciated.
Yeah,
you're just like, thank you.
I love you. Yeah. Yeah, so the end, when Leia runs up and...
Oh, yeah.
So, do you guys think that she's going to be taken back to the Inquisitor headquarters? Where do you think this is going to end up?
I'm kind of going to piggyback your comment earlier when you said that you hope this is kind of the it with Leia. So, I hope she doesn't get caught and we're kind of done with her. So we can focus more on Obi-Wan dealing with himself and dealing with Vader.
Yeah, I think... I mean, I guess they didn't exactly show that she was caught in this last scene. She could have, I guess, ran away. And
because she escaped those bounty hunters pretty well for a long time. Did you see that running sequence? Like, they were like, I'm running over a log.
Yeah. We had a good conversation about that last time. How do you feel about Flea being in that episode?
That surprised me, but it also didn't. I was like, yeah, of course they cast the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers in this show.
I was like,
like who else are they gonna do?
And he was not good. He's not a good actor. Like,
no,
his lines were terrible.
And I mean, I don't. Pardon me if he does have a stutter, but he stuttered in a lot of his words. But
which is fine if it's just part of his character. But
yeah,
like some of the delivery was just not there.
Yeah, it didn't have heart in it. Like I don't know. They should have had the pirate guy from Clone Wars in it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. They should have had him.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been cool just to have him in there for half a second and then him run into Obi-Wan and be like, hey, my friend.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious. A lot of people have been wanting him to show up in some way in this just because him and Obi-Wan are hilarious. That chase scene was rough.
Yeah.
Both of them. The one on Alderaan too.
That's what we're talking about.
Well, the one on the dark city planet. Forget what it's called.
Oh, Dayu.
Yeah, that one was weird too.
Yeah, the chase scenes are a little off in the show.
I think it's just because of the way, like, their the volume technology. It's like it's just a small area, so they kind of have to film it in a weird way, but
you can tell that a lot of the scenes are like really teeny tiny. I mean, no hate on the show, but there are some moments where you're like, that's a paper wall. And
well, they're screens. Have you seen the gallery where they show how they film these? It's a huge room full of just like super high def screens, and they put all of the sets on the screens. So instead of using green screens now, they use literal like TVs.
And can the actor see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's good.
That's cool.
It's good, but
good for the actor, but for us, it's like.
Yeah, I feel like they rely a little bit too much on it.
Like in what was it? The Mandalorian, when he was, I think he was like on an ice planet or something like that, and like there was ice everywhere. I was like, that's paper mache, and if somebody tells me it's not, I'm going to hit them.
So they use
because it was during COVID. I think it was filmed during COVID or something like that.
Yeah, that's why they originally invented that, because of COVID, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least they eventually like relied heavily on it during COVID.
Yeah, and now they're capitalizing the crap out of it.
Yeah, I mean they've improved a lot. I mean there were a lot of sets on, especially the first season of Mandalorian, that they looked good, but you could tell that it was
off.
It was like a very small set. And now it's a lot better, but I still feel like they rely a little bit too much on it.
Because with a lot of like they're jumping and moving, like in the chase scene, like it's like, oh, I fell over a twig. And it's like, are you supposed to be a bounty hunter? Like, shouldn't you be flying or something?
I don't know. Like, I feel like that scene might have actually been filmed in like a real place, like maybe like the California forest or something like that.
Probably.
Because it looked pretty real, but I feel like they just shot it really weird.
Really small, yeah.
Like they could have easily just did quicker cuts or something and like made the guys run a little bit faster and or had more obstacles that weren't just like a twig.
Yeah, like if they made the planet a little more alien rather than
that's
it's California.
Yeah, like in this episode.
Yeah.
In the fields, it was clearly just like the outside of LA, like
right,
like
exactly.
the desert area outside of LA.
Like, and Obi-Wan was like, there used to be families and fields here, and now it's just a desert planet. And I was just like,
yeah, that
hard eye roll.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was just kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like if you're gonna, like, it probably was like outside of LA for that scene, but like you clearly put some stuff in the background. Like there were like buildings and stuff that they added. Like could have just added some little, like maybe like a creature or like some kind of weird tree or
going
something.
back to what I was saying about Alderaan making it more alien. Like they could have made like the trees alive or something and like smacked the bounty hunters or something out of the way and like let Leia through because she's from there, or like an animal or something, rather than just this little like almost pod racing droid that she has in her hand that just flies around.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they could have, like, she's a princess, shouldn't she have like a guard with her at all times?
Well, they did. Did you see the guard that, like, the guard came and just got...
He just got whacked.
Yeah. Like, Flea just shot him in the back. Like,
yeah.
The guards were clearly... Because I feel like it's a planet... It's a peaceful planet.
It's a posh planet.
Yeah, they're, like, all, like, super, like, stuck up. Like,
yeah, because Leia was pointing out, like, oh, it's a casino planet, or a casino ship. There's a pleasure palace. And she's like, ew. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Like, you know what goes on there.
The guards are probably just the same way. Like, nothing ever bad happens, so... Like...
That's true,
They didn't even have their blasters, like, out.
It's kind of like the Jedi guards, where they're just kind of there. Or not the Jedi guards, the Sith guards, the red ones that just stand there
Yeah.
In all the originals, they're all just like, well, Darth Vader died. Anyway, we're just going to stand here.
Yeah. Like, I hated that guy anyways.
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, that scene was rough.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens if Reva actually does capture her.
Oh, shoot. I completely forgot your question. I just went completely off topic.
I mean, we kind of answered it.
I think that Reva will keep her in like her own little, almost in her own side pocket of like, she'll capture her and just keep her in the side pocket to lure Obi-Wan in.
Yeah. And
not even tell Vader what's going on, just because she's done that thus far, and I think she just wants to move up the ranks and just kill Obi-Wan first, try to kill Obi-Wan for herself, and I think eventually Lord Vader's going to kill her because of that, and she's just because I think she obviously has her own vendetta besides pleasing Lord Vader, because when he said, like, I understand you, like, you want to move up the ranks, and you can see her face like, I don't want that crap. Like, I want to kill Obi-Wan because I have a problem with it. And I think in the first scene, when those younglings were fleeing, I think that has something to do with it. Like, maybe she was one of the younglings, or
that's what
one of the
saying,
Jedis or something, so,
yeah. Yeah, so I think the biggest theory right now is she was one of those younglings, and that she saw Anakin, like, slaughtering everybody else, like her friends and stuff. But she somehow survived. And then, you know how Obi-Wan and Yoda go back to the temple after, like, everyone's gone, and they see everyone's dead, and they put the signal on there to alert all the other Jedi to stay away from the temple and to go into hiding. And people are thinking that maybe she was in the temple when they did that, and they didn't even bother to, like, try to find survivors. They just told people to stay away and then left.
That could be.
And that's why she has a vendetta against Obi-Wan.
That could be. And yeah, and because they keep saying, like, or the Grand Inquisitor was like, because you are the least of us, so she's obviously probably a Jedi, or
I mean, I think
some kind of light-sided character. So.
Yeah, I think they all were previous Jedi.
Right.
They the Empire kind of had a tendency to take the like youngling Jedi instead of killing them. Obviously Anakin did, but there were some that they kept, and a lot of them became Inquisitors.
Right, and that's why the Grand Inquisitor wants to take all the Jedi for interrogation, and she just wants to slaughter them just because she has a vendetta.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love this shot, though, where she's, like, all in the shadow.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I wonder who that is, but...
Well,
no, it's a cool shot.
For Leia, that's the purpose for Leia. She didn't know. She was like, are you who I'm supposed to meet?
Mm-hmm. If she didn't have the same haircut in every scene, like, I would have not known who that was, but...
Well, yeah, like I said, I don't think it was supposed to confuse us.
Right,
it was just a nice, like, evil...
If she had like an Inquisitor helmet on, that would have made all the more difference. I would have like take off her helmet and like, hey, it's me.
Yeah.
I did want to go back and talk about seeing human Anakin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull that up. I love that like he was on this this thing with the stormtroopers.
Oh yeah.
I love that whole interaction. It like kept you on your like on the edge of your seat because you like didn't know if he or Leia was gonna slip up, and then he slipped up, but then they believed him.
Yeah,
that's that's what was going through my head. I was like, he better say that, or this dialogue's about to be crap.
Yeah.
So that was great, great writing there.
Yeah, it was a perfect scene, I think.
Yeah.
And sorry, we'll get to your part, but since I just happened to click on here, the whole interaction with him and Leia, where she was like, "You knew my mother, didn't you?" Like she knows.
Oh, yeah. No,
and it's like we know like Leia's force sensitive, obviously, and like, she is able to read people really well.
Yeah.
Which I think, going back to what you said at the beginning, where you were kind of like tired of Leia and think it takes away from her character progression over, but I think it really adds to it because
that's a good point. Yeah.
Because it really shows how she's really good at reading people, and like obviously she becomes a politician, and it really adds to like where she came from, and it shows like how she knew about Obi-Wan in the first place and how she wanted to like get his help in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And how like close they seem to be getting on this whole adventure.
Yeah.
But his whole story about like his brother, do you guys think like he actually had a brother, or was he trying to like metaphorically talk about Luke to her? Because he was like,
I don't remember what you're talking about.
He was like, she was asking like, did you know my mother? Are you my father? Did you know where I came from? And he was like, no, I'm not your father. And he never said that he like knew them. He just kind of changed the subject, and he was like, I was taken from my family when I was young, and I barely remember it, but I remember a baby, and I think I have a brother. And it was a very similar story to hers, because she was taken from her family when she was a baby. And a brother, and she has a baby brother. And
I'm sure it's not that deep into it. I'm sure they're just one-offing what he's saying, because all Jedi were taken as little kids when they found out, and if they weren't taken by Jedi, they were taken by the Sith. So, or killed,
or just never found.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the Anakin thing. How far back was this? There it is. Got right on it.
Is that supposed to be Anakin? I thought that was supposed to be... Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Anakin.
I thought that was supposed to be Darth Sidious. I was like, that looks like a bad Sidious. He's wearing brown. But yes, it is Anakin, yeah.
Yeah, it's Anakin. So what were you going to say? Just how amazing it was?
Well, I at first I thought it was going to be Qui-Gon.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then I was like, this could be Anakin. And then he turned around. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I was blown away.
I almost wish that it was like the burnt version of Anakin rather than him being all cloaked like that, just because, I don't know, seeing him like that would have been more of
like traumatic.
Not only traumatic, but like it would be what what Obi-Wan's thinking, because that's the last time he saw him. It was all burnt up and stuff.
True.
Like,
Yeah, but he probably viewed that version of him more as like the dark side version, like a Vader. Whereas like this was, right before that they like actually fought.
That's true.
Because he has his arms crossed
like
just like he did on Mustafar.
Oh yeah.
Before they landed.
Because this far back, I was watching it probably from how far I am to this TV. Like, I thought it was like the messed up Vader, like all back to tanky and stuff. His face is super pale, but now that I see it a little more big screen, that's definitely Anakin, and not Sidious like I thought it was. He looks so pale. I thought he was just like,
he does look pretty
dead
pale.
Skinned, but that's
yeah.
right.
I think it's just supposed to show like his dark side, corruption.
And that's the best looking Anakin. Is like dark side walking into the Jedi Temple. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Best looking dude.
Yeah.
Super gay for him right now.
With that music playing too, like
Yeah.
Oh man, one of the best scenes. Anything else you wanted to say about that?
I just wanted your reactions.
No.
I think we're all on the same page there. It was good.
Yeah.
And it was like a good. I feel like we're probably going to see more of Obi-Wan, like seeing stuff like that, especially if he's going to go into like a back to tank after he got burnt. Like he's probably going to go into back to tank. It might be similar to like how Book of Boba Fett,
Yeah.
kept having flashbacks, because if you're sleeping, you're going to be dreaming. So he's probably going to have a lot of flashbacks.
Hopefully Clone Wars?
Yeah, maybe like prequel era or Clone War era, like
Order
flashbacks.
66 flashbacks. Probably.
Yeah, I hope it's something new and not just like more rehashed footage from the prequels.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's one of the big reasons why they recast Hayden, was hopefully because he's gonna have some scenes as Anakin, not just Vader. So I'm kind of hoping for that. So we'll see. Any other final thoughts on that?
I don't think so.
I think this is by far the best episode so far.
These are the fight scenes for me.
I think, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I loved this episode. I don't know if it was the best so far. I don't know.
What would you put as the best?
I really liked the second episode. I really liked the first episode too. It's hard to say. I can't really say.
There's all parts to them that are all good.
Yeah.
And
And
there's all parts of them that are really bad. But
I mean, I wouldn't say really bad, but there are definitely weak points. Like the chase scene we talked about. Definitely like the weak one.
And that's more
points.
just like cinematography and stuff like that, rather than the story. Actually, the story's really good.
Oh yeah, I'm enjoying the story.
Yep.
Like, this could be almost a comic book, and I would read every page of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can't really say which one's my favorite until it's all out and I see them all.
Fair enough.
I think my favorite might have yet to come. So we'll see. I know the ending's gonna be like, I'm gonna be an emotional wreck at the ending.
Oh yeah. Probably.
Yeah, I'll be on the verge of tears probably.
I probably will tear up.
Unless it has to do with Leia or Luke, but yeah, if it has to do with Obi-Wan, I'll definitely be in tears.
We'll definitely have to see like Obi-Wan go back to Tatooine, and we'll probably see Luke again just as like a short little thing, and I'm sure we'll see Leia go back probably earlier than the finale, but we might see like another glimpse of her or something. But as far as like the finale goes, like it's probably gonna be very emotional between him and Vader.